Today is October 19th, 2023. This is Luciana Spraker with the City of Savannah Municipal Archives, and I am interviewing Ollie Mack for the Proud Savannah History Project. We are conducting this interview at First City Pride Center. Thank you for joining me today.
Of course.
Okay, so we're going to start with a few background questions. What is your full name or your preferred name?
Ollie Mack, St. John.
Okay. Please tell us what pronouns you use.
They, them.
Okay. And what is your relationship with the LGBTQ plus community?
I was born into it. I just recently transitioned, so prior to this year, I was considered myself a lesbian. Been married to my wife since 2018. We've been together for 10 years. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary.
Congratulations.
So just always identified as a lesbian until recently. Now I'm just gay. I don't know. Haven't figured that part out yet. I don't know how to do it.
When and where were you born?
Miami, Oklahoma.
Okay. So
In 1988. I'm sorry.
that's fine. Say the name of the town again.
Miami.
Miami.
It's spelled like Miami.
Okay. So you're not a native of Savannah. Why have you chosen to come to Savannah? What brought you here?
My wife went to undergrad at SCAD and she fell in love with the city, and so she's originally from Long Island and I'm from Oklahoma, so we tried out Oklahoma for a while. She didn't like it, so we came to try this out. So
how did the two Oklahoma versus Savannah, how do they compare for you guys as a couple? And I'm thinking more like inclusion or not.
So so it's different experience for me and my wife. My wife is a white woman and passes as if nobody asks her, they would assume she's straight. So she has a very different experience than me. For me, Oklahoma is a lot more inclusive because there's a lot more of my color brown people there, because there's a lot of Hispanic, Native American people there, and actually there's a whole gay district in Oklahoma City, so there's like a whole square mile of just gay businesses, gay bars, and gay clubs, and it just felt a little bit more inclusive there for me personally. I'm just now starting to find some places to fit in here, and we've been here since 2016. So
what you mentioned brown people, Native Americans, Hispanic. What ethnic or cultural population do you identify with?
I'm half Thai, and the other half is a mutt of Native American Irish.
Native American Irish.
Yeah.
What tribe?
Quapaw. It's a small one in Oklahoma.
Cool. How do you define coming out?
I guess getting to a point where you're comfortable enough or to share that information with somebody, to share that you were part of the queer community. Sometimes also in high school I was actually outed by some people, but that was a very isolated in high school event. Thankfully it didn't spread to my family before I was ready to discuss that with them. So so for a personal thing, like when you're comfortable, sometimes you can't help that though if somebody does something like they did in high school.
So my next question was, do you have a personal coming out story you'd like to share? So I'm kind of curious maybe about what happened in high school, and then maybe how you dealt with it on your own terms.
Yeah, so I think it was my junior year. We were at a restaurant for a band, like before going to band competition, and I had left my phone on the table just to go make my plate. And the people that were sitting there were they were friends, but not like close friends. And I guess one of them decided to pick up my phone, and they saw the picture of me and my current girlfriend at the time. And when I came back to the table, they were all sitting there, and one was like, Kat, are you gay? And I was like, what? Like, that's random. And they were like, well, we just saw this picture and just wondering if you're gay. And I was like, no. So I actually denied it and just said that that was my best friend at the time, and then freaked out internally and was scared. And that night, pretty much everybody at that table called me individually to tell me, like, if you are, it's okay, or any of that stuff. But I don't know, it was stressful, and I denied it at the time because I'm from a religious family and my cousins are in band with me, and so it was scary. I was scared that that would get to my cousins who would then. But thankfully, those people, I guess, meant what they said because they didn't share that information with my cousins.
Mhm.
So, I don't know. So
And then did you have you come out to your family now?
yes, I came out my senior year after going through counseling and just decided I'm just going to do it. And at first, they were very nice, but then my mom spent the next year of the rest of my senior year putting Bible verses under my door and telling me I'm going to go to hell. And when I graduated, she kicked me out. So, like, at first I felt like I was being accepted, and then I wasn't after that. So I think that it was just me crying and telling her that made the mom instincts kick in and be like, oh, it's okay. But then when she realized what I had said, I guess it kind of, escalated from there. But eventually they accepted me. I think I spent a couple of years not talking to anybody in my family because they kind of shunned me there for a bit. But I don't know what made them decide they wanted to reconnect, so I gave them a chance, and I started bringing around my partner at the time. And they were weird at first, but eventually they just I guess got used to it. I don't know. And then when I did meet my spouse now, they all came to the wedding. A lot of their friends didn't come, which was understandable, but it was cool to see my mom and my aunt, who was like my second mom, show up to my wedding and be there and be a part of it. But so yeah, they're with it now.
Well, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
That's hard to go through that.
They still every once in a while will say stuff like worry about your soul when so.
Do you feel like you had to have sort of two coming out processes? One for, when you accepted being a lesbian, and one as you transitioned to Ollie?
Yes, they're not dealing with the transition very well. It's almost as if they're like, we've accepted that you're the token lesbian of the family, and now you're changing the game on us, and they're very much against transgender people, so they're having a hard time just dealing with like the name change, and they won't use the new name. They won't at all. But I don't know what they'll do when I physically transition. But at this point in my life, I'm 34. I'm just, I have my wife, and I have my life, and if they don't want to be part of it, I've lost them once before.
Are you starting on your physical path?
We're waiting until we get better insurance, and then we're going to start that, hopefully next year.
Okay. So October is LGBTQ History Month, and it's when Savannah celebrates Pride Month. When you hear somebody talk about Pride, what does Pride mean to you?
I think that when people celebrate Pride, they're brave. I've never been one to actually go to Pride. My wife and I joke that we're conservative gays. We're very much stay at home, keep to ourselves. We have our animals and our garden. Like, we just keep to ourselves. And in Oklahoma City, the Pride is a lot like what people badmouth on like the news. There's like lots of like kind of sexual connotations to it, and people just throwing like condoms and stuff around everywhere, and it's just not my cup of tea, I guess. And but at the same time, like, if that's how people want to celebrate, that's how they can celebrate. That's bravery to me. I think that it's a little bit comes from shame for me, like from my family and stuff, not to be so loud. And so I think that it's brave for everybody who does it. I just hopefully can get to a point where I will be a part. This is my first time actually going to one, and then I'm going as a volunteer. So
Right. So you've been you kind of connected with us because you're a volunteer at the Pride Center.
yes, I'm an intern here. So
Oh, an intern.
interning, yeah.
What does your internship have a specific focus?
So yes, I am in school for clinical mental health counseling, but my school in particular, this isn't my actual practicum for my field. This is the social justice practicum that all students of that school are required to complete. So
Nice. So were there pivotal moments or major events that you consider turning points in your life? And those could be things that happened to you or things that maybe were happening around you or nationally.
Honestly, the first thing that comes to my mind is in 2020 I had a stroke. And it was here in Savannah. I went to St. Joe's. Unfortunately, they sent me home with said stroke because they weren't listening to me. And then I spent the weekend at home suffering from that, and then came back after my doctor had said, no, you need to go back. You're having a stroke. And so we went back, and they still didn't want to run the test, but they did eventually when I told them who my doctor was, and like, they're saying do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they did it, and then they're like, oh yeah, you had a stroke. Can we keep you? Like, that's what we wanted 2 days ago. But so yeah, I think that was a big moment. I used to be a lot more optimistic about people, I think. And after going through that process and then having to deal with all the like repercussions it had on my body, I kind of like lost faith in a lot of people. But I don't know. So I think that definitely is, and everything that's happening in the news lately is scary. And we've actually been talking about moving just to get up north closer to her family, so we'd at least be close to family and in what most people think is a more liberal state. But there's been a lot of uptick in hate crimes and stuff up there too. So we honestly at this point kind of feel like there's nowhere really safe for our community. And my wife is culturally Jewish, so there's just a lot going on that we're a little worried about. But her name is actually on a hit list on the internet, and so that's terrifying because whoever that was doesn't like Jewish people.
So she's on a hit list as being a Jewish person or a
Jewish person, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is very scary.
Yeah.
What year did you move to Savannah?
2016.
2016. So you've been here a few years.
Yeah.
So, which is, I'm asking for my next question. So, are there any local events that you consider very meaningful to the local LGBTQ plus community?
I think what they're preparing for right now seems to be the big one that I always hear about.
And that's the Pride Festival.
Yeah. And I actually kind of appreciate that they do it in October, because everywhere else does it in June and July, and then so all the people that are scary are typically more ramped up during that time, and so I kind of appreciate that it's also during a cooler month on top of that. So I like it for both reasons. But yeah, everybody I've ever encountered always talks about this one, and so I'm actually excited to see this one. I've never been to this one, so
that's great. Well, and I think also being in October, it kind of ties in with Halloween.
Yeah.
So people can be a little bit anonymous in their costumes if they need to be. So what is the best thing or your favorite thing about Savannah's LGBTQ plus community, having lived in another community as well?
I think that everybody's like so proud of where they come from. Because while I felt like where I came from was more inclusive, we didn't really talk about our space as being like a proud place to be from. I feel like everybody that I run into here, like, they love it and they love the community and all that stuff. So I think that that's probably one of the best things.
Okay. And then what do you think are the biggest challenges facing the Savannah community?
I think the lack of BIPOC spaces for LGBT communities. Me as an intern, I'm hoping to start a support group for that, though. I know that a lot of people have been upset online about the the space because of that lack of visibility for people of color, and so hopefully we can start making changes towards that.
And when you say the space, you mean the Pride Center space?
Yeah. But when you like read kind of people's experiences, it seems to kind of fit my experience in Savannah, which is it lacks everywhere, not just here. So that's just my personal experience. Obviously, it's different for other people.
Well, isn't that what it's about?
Yeah.
Everybody's personal experience.
Yeah.
Do you have a local LGBTQ plus community member or an ally that you would like to lift up and tell us about?
So my mentor from Georgia Southern University, her name's Virginia Wickline, Dr. Virginia Wickline. She was I think that she even went so far in one of my research classes to explain the differences between Z-Zer pronouns, and people were really throwing out in class about that, like, what are you talking about? And I think that little things like that make a big impact, because it doesn't take much to make people like me in the community feel visible. And for her to take me under her wing as a mentee, like, that was awesome too, because I'd never had that experience here in Savannah, and it just felt seen. So she was a great ally, and she sends a lot of people here to volunteer. She is just really great for the community in general, and she doesn't have to. That's a lot of extra work as a professor.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Great. Anybody else you want to mention?
Wow.
Yeah, okay. So this brings me to my last question. Is there anything else you would like to share with us about your experience, about the local community here?
I just wish there were more spaces, more than one bar, club thing that everybody kind of knew about. I know that it's great that this is here and they're trying to start programs and stuff, but I just wish that it seemed like we were accepted more throughout the whole city, not just like a tiny corner of downtown kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I just wish we were more like accepted, but like
integrated.
Integrated. Yeah, would be a better way. We shouldn't have to have like a little directory of safe places to shop at. But it's true. My wife can go into so many stores and she loves it, and then the day she takes me, we like have a crazy, not so great experience, and she's like, it's just crazy how different it is when somebody who clearly is part of the community walks into a place here and is treated so differently.
It's sad.
Yeah.
Well, I really want to thank you for sharing and opening up with us today as part of the Proud Savannah History Project. It's very valuable to get a whole bunch of different voices and their perspectives together.
And thank you for collecting everybody's stories. It's so cool.
It's been a good education for me too.
Oh, good.
Okay.